Now, a group of housing activists is targeting landlords across the UK who it says are exploiting vulnerable people with poor housing. ACORN is a union for tenants who rent privately. They say enough is enough and that renters should no longer have to put up with poor, substandard housing and treatment. They use direct action to tackle what they see as bad landlords. But they're encouraging people to stand up for their rights, or are they taking the law into their own hands? Andy Smythe went to meet them.
Across the country, private tenants are fighting back.
Like the first couple of times I woke up here, I thought if I p***ed bed. That's how damp it is in here.
I don't feel safe at all. I feel terrified. I don't even want to come home anymore.
They're building an army to wage war on bad landlords. Are you kind of vigilantes?
According to some landlords, yes we are.
They're planning a conquest of our cities.
Thank you very much. So what's your name? I suppose we kind of are selling something. Yeah, we're selling them a union. Hey, yeah, sorry to bother you.
To give power to the people they said felt powerless.
These landlords are doing whatever they want. They think they're above the law. And sometimes, yes, people need to stand up there and say, no, this is not right.
They're ACORN, a new union set up to encourage private tenants to stand up for their rights.
Do you want to speak to the police? Not particularly, no.
We've come to meet this guy, Callum Hay. He's been renting a flat from the same landlord for more than 2 years. He says he's gone weeks sometimes without any electricity and no front door. But when we arrive, the police are here, so we go back later.
But yeah, I'm at the point where I don't trust anybody.
The rent here is just over £500 a month, including electricity and water. Today, Callum says he's had an actual fight with his landlord.
I mean, it's not really showing much bruising yet, but that is definitely going to bruise because it's sore. And you can see it bruising down there.
The landlord's account, there was no fight. Callum attacked him.
And apparently, according to the police, he's saying I hurt his finger. What was that, when he was punching me?
Fuming, scared, sick, because I've now got the worry that he might come back. I've got the worry that he might attempt to hurt me while Callum is working. I don't feel safe at all. I feel terrified. I don't even want to come home anymore. I'd rather stay at work and sleep there.
Callum and Zena live here with their 2 dogs and a lot of flies. Callum says because of the former takeaway people next door throwing rotting carcasses into the yard. They've now stopped paying any rent because they say they weren't even getting the basics.
Boiler, electric, front door.
You had no front door?
The 3 basics. I've never had a front door since I've been here. Although the electricians found that problem, I dread to think what it's like in there. And I mean, the mould situation is probably not good for us.
And what is the mould situation?
I mean, in here it's not so much mould, it's just obvious damp. But in the bedroom, you're not likely to be able to see it without a light. Oh, when did the electric go? Maybe 2 weeks after we moved in? That's what constitutes our secure door. That's as good as it gets. That's the lovely black mould. And if you look on the ceiling, where the mould is, look, is where the water's pooling, but not sitting on the joists. Look, this is probably the worst bit here.
The landlord told us he wants to do the repairs, but workmen are refusing to until Callum cleans up.
We only really started standing up to him over the boiler leaking, and that was after about a year. And then when the electric went, because he hadn't paid the bill for the 2 years we've been here, like that was when we really started to lay into him. That was when we got hold of ACORN.
This is one of the founders of ACORN.
We felt that there was a need for a community organisation that would represent local people on political issues, but without being tied to political parties.
It's got members like a workers' union, but ACORN fights for private tenants' rights. They'll protest, they'll go around landlords' houses, they'll publicly shame them because of what they feel is a housing crisis.
Rising rent, poor conditions, evictions, this kind of thing. But Bristol has seen certainly very steep rent increases over the past 3 or 4 years. In some areas of Bristol, we saw increases of nearly 30% in a single year.
But other cities have different problems, so ACORN grew.
So we're just heading over to Darnall, which is a part of the city with quite a lot of renters in it. The kind of issues that we hear about are mainly things like illegal evictions, things like a lot of problems with damp, broken boilers, rats, and a lot of landlords that are not doing the job to fix those issues.
Sheffield's got a high proportion of rental properties and students. Fertile ground for housing problems, battleground for housing activists.
Yeah, the problem with the housing crisis is that a lot of it's quite hidden, but sometimes just walking around places like this is pretty obvious. So yeah, up there, massive leak. Not only is that destroying the home, that's probably causing like a massive damp issue inside the house.
ACORN is growing fast here as a result of a lot of old school canvassing.
Alright, I'll leave you to it. What's your house like at the moment? People have mentioned things like landlords not doing repairs on time, or things like just the cost of rent is just like, going up every year. And
I ain't got central heating either.
You haven't got central heating?
No.
Wow. If you had a problem, what would you do?
And they're effective. In the summer, this many turned up to barricade a vulnerable woman's house. They stopped her being evicted.
It's a question of power, really. As long as there's a group of people that own the houses and a group of people that rent from them, there's always going to be an imbalance of power there.
Another person who's been helped is Sarah. She didn't want to give us her surname. She said she had unwanted sexual advances from her landlord, who lived in the same house.
Touching, groping, he'd groped my ass, he'd brushed across my breast, he tried to kiss me a few times. That's more than enough.
Sarah's landlord denied the claims.
Absolutely shockingly disgusting. I just did not want to be near him. Didn't want to be in the house. Didn't want to be anywhere near him. I just wanted to get out, and it just got worse and worse. I said I was completely uncomfortable with the situation. I wanted him to back off and leave me alone. So he changed my 6-month contract to a month contract. And then from that tried to instantly evict me.
You can't. It's illegal to instantly evict.
It is illegal to instantly evict you. He's got a duty of care not only to you but to your belongings.
The landlord was threatening to kick her out simply because he'd not got anywhere with some of his sexual advances. She was probably about 12 hours away from being homeless. So yeah, not only did we take action to make sure the landlord didn't kick her and the stuff out on the street, we also provided some solidarity to support her when she had to go back into her house to get her stuff. People like that, they're bullying landlords, and we're just not going to take it anymore.
What's life like as a renting tenant?
Everything is a pain in the arse. And you're never particularly secure.
Well, you're not, because you've not got a front door.
No.
His landlord says the door's now fixed, but Callum's worst period was when his electricity was completely cut off.
My partner then shouted at him, if he doesn't get the electric put back on, there's going to be hell to pay. And then he turned round and he said, I hope you die in here.
The landlord denies saying that. Bristol City Council gave the landlord 28 days to pay his bill, but ACORN went round his house to demand he did it sooner.
We said that we would keep coming back until it was resolved. That was on a Friday, and on the Monday the electric was turned back on, so definitely get the results.
There are bigger battles. Recently they've succeeded in getting the council to scrap plans to start making the city's poorest residents pay council tax. Today, though, it's Amina who needs help. She's a working mother of 4, living in this house. What are the biggest problems?
The biggest problems is damp and the mouse walking in the night in the walls and the kitchen. That's the worst.
You have mice in your kitchen?
In the kitchen and the sleep rooms.
You tell me how much you pay for your house every month.
I pay 850.
£850?
Yeah.
With damp and mice?
Yeah.
ACORN are going out to the landlord's home to deliver him a letter.
Ask them to appoint qualified independent damp specialists and contractors to fix other outstanding issues. We want it booked by Monday, or we will take further action.
Amina has fought this for 2 years. Her friend is the same landlord, same problems.
For 2 years, it's enough. It's enough. It's not acceptable.
Big house.
But he's not got any damp problems, though.
They're saying that he's not here yet.
Can you come and take the letter for me?
There's a bit of argy-bargy.
He's ignoring our mobiles.
What does collective action mean? Does it mean basically taking the law into your own hands?
It means acting together in support of a particular individual or where people have got a similar problem, acting together to solve it. It doesn't mean breaking the law. We're an entirely law-abiding organisation.
It's not fair. Should we just put it in the post box or? Yeah. Because you've got to go to work soon, haven't you? We're trying to get him to sort out his obligations to his tenants who are getting poorly because he's letting them live in horrible conditions.
What's he saying?
They're saying that we have no right to be here. We do. They're saying that it's nothing to do with them. We're just pointing out that all we wanted to do was give them the letter. He's given us no choice. We've tried to do this through email, we've tried to do it through phone calls, we've tried every other thing. He won't listen to us, which is why we're bringing it to his attention now. Excuse me? Do you want to speak to the police? Not particularly, no.
The people are angry now. They don't like it. We come here. And
How do you feel?
I feel happy. I don't know why.
Do you get a lot of stick off the landlords?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're public enemy number 1, and the reason for that is, we're not afraid to name and shame them, put them on the spot.
He doesn't deserve to rent out properties.